Indiana winner 78-62 over Washington out on the West Coast. Peegs.com's Jeff Rabjohns, Trevor Andershock. Jerry Kelly here to break it all down. Rabbi, Indiana, this is maybe their best start of the season, at least in the Big Ten season. Get out to a tremendous start in the first 10 minutes of the game, 24-9 after five straight points from Miles Rice. Indiana, that first half, they really clamped down. We weren't sure how they were gonna come out, especially going out to the West Coast, and they really responded strong.
Yeah, I thought that starting lineup came out, like you said, really good start. I thought they moved the ball, took good shots, hunted good shots, and I really like just the way they were aggressive. There was some freeness to them. They're moving to spots, they're moving the ball. There was just some flow. One of the better, 6 to 8 minute starts to a game that Indiana's had all year, and just there's a freeness to them, and I thought that was a big part of it. You got to make shots, certainly. You got to get stops, but just watching how they played, there was just some smoothness to them. They looked free, they looked relaxed, they looked like they were just kind of like playing basketball. That was a really good sign for them, I thought.
Yeah. Trevor, that first half was obviously crucial for Indiana. I personally, I had my doubts about how they, especially coming off the success they had going out to the West Coast and having to deal with the time change and everything. But that first half really set the tone. And I thought Indiana, especially coming out into the second half, they did a really good job of not letting their guard down and not playing down to Washington's competition, which they're not great this year, but, Indiana just kind of never let up.
Yeah, I thought, well, going back to the start of the game, they do get off that quick start, 15-5, within the first few minutes. But then they really hit that second gear when Miles Rice and Malik Renu came in the game. They both score 8 points right away, basically, within the first 6 minutes that they're on the floor. Renu extended his field goal made streak to 17, dating back to the UCLA game. Obviously, went perfect 7 for 7 against Purdue, was huge. So he comes in is automatic, unstoppable. Rice, he's back in Washington State where he played. Well, he was basically there the last 3 years. Played last year, was a freshman All American for Washington State. So it seemed like he was kind of having a homecoming. So those two play really well. Then you talk about the start of the second half. The offense kind of took a step back in those first 4 minutes. Only had 2 points from Mackenzie Mbako's free throws. Looked like they might be stalling a little bit, but then you get Luke Goody coming around, hitting a couple threes, getting that tip in. That kind of kick started the offense again, and from there, IU just rolled. Really impressive effort from Luke Goody in that second half. Then you throw on Malik Renu, kind of got back in the rhythm. Those two seemed to steal the game when Washington did make that little bit of a run in the second half.
Rabbi, defensively, I thought Indiana was really great in this game. Ended the game holding Washington to 36.2% shooting from the field, 26.1% from three-point range, and Washington had a couple of bank-in threes too, so a little bit of luck there as well. You hold great Osibor, their leading scorer, to 0 for 5 shooting from the field. He had a couple of free throws to boost him, but Indiana defensively, I thought they were tremendous on that end tonight.
Yeah, I thought they were really good. They held them to like I think it was 0.9 points per possession. You hold somebody below 1 point per possession on their home floor, and you did a good job. I understand Washington's no great shakes this year, but still, it's a Big Ten road game. You did your job. Great Osobor can get going. He is a talented player. I thought they did a really good job with how they doubled and how hard they doubled. He has been a solid passer at times. He's had several games with three or more assists. And I thought they did a really good job bringing the double with some intent, not just, okay, we're going to bring two guys and create congestion. I thought there was really clear intent to take away his vision as well as not let him be able to get into his spots or get his footwork down. I thought those are the two things they disrupted the most. They disrupted his footwork and they disrupted his vision. And if you do that against him, you're really forcing Washington to have to go to plan B, plan C, plan D pretty early, not only in the game, but in the possession. And I thought that just really disrupted the rhythm. I thought I give credit to Mike Woodson, credit to the assistants who had the scout. I thought they did a really good job on how they were going to attack Osibor, and they executed it really well.
Starting lineups here, Trevor. Indiana keeps kind of flipping and mixing and matching here. Miles Rice heads to the bench to start this one. And then the starting five was Anthony Leal, Trey Galloway, Luke Goody, Mackenzie Mbako, and Umar Ballo. It seems like Indiana, even though they've kind of had some shuffling of this lineup, the pieces they're putting out there in the rotations just seem so much more cohesive and fluid right now than previously this season.
Yeah, I think the lineup combinations have definitely improved, especially in this last month when IU's been playing a lot better. A part of that is Rice is playing really well too. He's defensively, he's really taken a step forward, and then you're getting some good offensive output from him. But like you said, overall the combinations are a lot better. You aren't seeing two bigs together. You're limiting, when Mackenzie Mbako is not producing on the offense end, you're limiting his minutes. Trey Galloway has really stepped up as a playmaker, kind of following the same path he did last season when IU won five straight to end the season. He was a fantastic playmaker for IU during that stretch, and now he's stepped up in that same role down the stretch of this season. So I think it's one, players stepping up and playing well, and then two, like you said, the combinations are just a lot better than we saw, especially earlier in the year for IU.
Mhm. Yeah, Trey
Yeah,
Galloway.
and I just wanted to follow up just a little bit on on that point. I think Malik Renu deserves a ton of credit. He has the knee injury. He misses, I think it's 5 games there for a stretch. Comes back. You can tell he's not totally himself. His first 4 games back, 2 points, 10 points, 3 points, 6 points. And in 3 of those 4, he had a negative box score plus minus. A little bit of a nerdy term there, but I think most people know what that is now. That's not just straight plus minus your score, opponent's score while you're on the court. It factors in a number of stats, and it's really a good grab all kind of indication of like what was somebody's impact on the game. After his first 4 games where he doesn't score a ton, he comes back with 16 points, 19 points, 14 points, 15 points, and 22 points tonight. He was fantastic. And in his last 3 games, his box score plus minus has been plus 12.5, plus 22.3, and plus 10.9 tonight. Those are really, really good numbers. Malik's impact on IU winning here down the stretch and playing well has been really significant in my eyes. As far as like, if you picked an MVP over from recent games, Malik Renu would get my vote on a number of those games.
Yeah.
And let's not forget too. I mean, he was just in the hospital a couple days ago with what they're calling an allergic reaction. So, good to see him back out there on the
Yeah, you're
court.
right. That's one of those. Oh, by the way, he was in the hospital a couple of days ago, and then he went and did this. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's playing really, really well.
Yeah. Another guy we need to talk about too, Rabbi, on the topic of plus minus, and I know, like you mentioned, it's not the end all be all stat, but Anthony Leal scores 0 points and finishes at a plus 26. He had 2 blocks, 3 steals, 4 rebounds, 4 assists. This is a guy that's not going to get you many points a game, but 34 minutes, he has been such a steadying force for Indiana since he's started into the starting lineup. And I think at this point, you could make a good case for him to be on the All Big Ten defensive team, just based on his play, and he's honestly been racking up the steals and the blocks here of late too. So, I think you could make a legitimate argument for him for All Big Ten defense too at this point.
Yeah, he's certainly playing at that level. And Kenyon Hunter even mentioned it on postgame radio that while Leal's not gonna, you may look at his stat line and go, not much there. Kenyon pointed out that Leal's defense on the ball, on the point guard, on the point of attack was a really big key to how IU wanted to play this game, and Leal did a really good job. And he's certainly, he's another guy who is playing well here, down the stretch. And I remember down in the Bahamas, there was an assistant coach from another team who mentioned this, just kind of a casual comment. He said, "Man, those guys want to win. They got to play Leland Goody more." And at the time, I was kind of like, "Well, we'll see. We don't really know what Rice and Kenny Carlisle are going to do, whatever." But that coach's comment was, on the money because those two guys are certainly big factors. And yeah, Leal's defense, arguably, well, I don't even know if you have to say arguably. I think it's the best defense he's played as a college player. You know, he like Trevor's mentioned many times in his scouting reports. When there are matchups where he can use his strength and positioning, he's really good, and he's really maximizing what he has. He's not the fastest cat in the box. He ain't the quickest cat in the box. He's not going to be. But I'm curious to hear what Trevor thinks. But I think he's using what he has incredibly well. I think he's pretty damn close to maxing himself out defensively right now.
Yeah, to piggyback off that, Mark Torvik just put out his advanced stats box score. Leal was second on the team in the net rating at 4.2 without scoring a point. That's pretty unheard
Wow.
of. Like you look at Trey Galloway had 8.7 assists, only one turnover, and he had a negative rating. So that just shows how impactful his defense has been to have that big of positive impact on the outcome of the game without scoring a point and only taking one total shot. That's pretty outstanding, and you just never see it. It's something completely out of the box, something really adding a huge, plus positivity to Indiana without even needing to look to score. It's unheard of. I can't really put it into words because you just never see it happen.
I don't think I've ever seen a number like that for somebody who didn't score a point. I don't even.
Yeah.
I that is stunning. That is, I mean, it's a little bit of a nerdy stat we're talking about, but it's pretty instructive. That's for sure.
Yeah, to even put it in more perspective, Renu's 22 points on 10 of 13 shooting resulted in a 3.9 net. Leo 4.2 without scoring. That's just that to put in more perspective to it.
Yeah. Yeah, Anthony Leal's been tremendous. This whole since stepped into the starting lineup, makes you wonder why he didn't play more earlier in the season. But that's a different conversation for another day. I did want to touch on Luke Goody here, Trevor, because he had a really nice game tonight. 18 points, 5 of 9 from three. And when he's shooting like this, and obviously he's been shooting well all season, but he had that one game a couple games ago where I think he was like 2 for 9 from three. But tonight, 5 for 9 from three. You can get him going from three, getting him the open looks that he has. That's just another positive sign for what Indiana has been able to do these last few games.
Yeah, I mentioned it real quickly earlier about him really coming to IU's rescue when the offense started to stall in the early portion of the second half. He hits two big threes, one in transition, one where they just double off him for no reason, go to the post, leave him wide open for, completely facing the basket, kick out three. Something that's pretty much an automatic layup for a shooter like Luke Goody. So his impact has just been massive for IU lately.
Yeah, and just to kind of follow up on that too, I think Trey Galloway's ball handling has been pretty good too. He has 7 assists, only one turnover tonight in 24 minutes. So he's certainly done a really good job. I think there's a lot to be said for Trey Galloway's passing, ball handling. I know he had some turnovers the other night, but guys aren't perfect. They're going to make some mistakes. For Galloway to be able to go in there and have multiple games here down the stretch with 5, 6, 7. The other night he had 9 assists. That's really good. I mean, Trey Galloway is really creating a lot and doing a lot for Indiana's offense right now.
Rabbi, I did want to get your thoughts here. Obviously the season's not over. A couple more games to go. Big Ten tournament. We'll see what happens with the NCAA tournament. What do you think has happened here the last few games? Because we'll be the first to say we were the ones that said it would take nothing short of a miracle run down the stretch for them to even get into this spot. They're in this spot. Ever since the announcement of Mike Woodson stepping down after the season came, it just feels like Indiana's playing a little more free right now. Do you feel that way? And what do you think's kind of led to this late season surge?
Yeah, I mean, I think part of it is tactical. They've gone to one big for the vast majority of the games. They're just better with one big on the floor because their two bigs are both centers. Neither Malik Renu or Umar Ballo. They don't have ball skills. They're not going to drive it. They're not guys you want out there shooting threes. They're not guys who are going to space the floor. They're centers. Their primary scoring circles are on the block. So when you have them both out there at the same time, they need the same space. All they do is create congestion for each other because not only do you have two teammates in similar space, each guy brings another defender. You got four guys, 6'9" or taller, all within 6, 8 feet of the post most of the time. That doesn't help anybody. So part of it's tactical. Going to the one big when both your bigs are centers has really helped. I think they've done a better job of not only creating space but utilizing the space. They move better. The other night they did a really good job when Malik Renu was on the floor. They relocated shooters into his vision, so he's got somebody to pass out to. He hit, I believe it was Luke Goody for that one nice three. They also did a really good job because there's space in the lane behind him. They ran cutters over his right shoulder. So for a lefty, it's an easier pass. So they created space. Then they moved into spaces where they are scoring threats. So those are the things I think tactically have happened. The other thing I think that's happened, and this is opinion from watching them warm up, watching them play, being around some things. I just think there's some freedom. And I'm not saying that, a coach's retirement, dismissal, whatever, being announced is always helpful. But I think it was just like it took the pressure away. It took the noise away. It took the vitriol away. They're not having to deal with all this. Is what are you going to say? Is what are you going to go? Oh my gosh, fans yelling, when the media asking questions, what's the future going to be? Everybody got to take a breath, because they know what the future is. There's going to be a new coach next year. So they can all be like, all right, you know what? Screw it. We got nothing to lose. Let's go. And I think there is at times for athletes some freedom that gets created when pressure dissipates. And I just think that's part of what's happening with this IU basketball team.
Yeah. Trevor, I'll send the same question to you here. Just Indiana's late season surge, X's and O's, just anything that's gone on with, behind the scenes with the coaching, the coaching situation. Is there anything that stuck out to you about why Indiana's been so successful here late?
No, I don't think it's been huge strategy changes or X's and O's changes. I mean, it's basically like we've talked about before. The lineup combinations are just so much better, and then you get the players actually playing better. X and O wise, I mean, there is some more spacing since they are playing one big, primarily here now. But overall, I think it just falls back to one, the combinations they're playing. They've really found something, and then the players stepping up and executing what they've been trying to do all season. So I think it's mainly just executing at a higher level and getting those performances you need from guards like Miles Rice and Trey Galloway to win Big Ten games.
Rebby, we'll end it here. NCAA tournament, obviously hanging in the balance. Still had, another important game for Indiana that they had to win, considering Washington's place in the Big Ten, towards the bottom of the Big Ten. You get Oregon up next on Tuesday. That'll be a quad one opportunity. Now you figure if you win that, you should be pretty, comfortably on the right side of the bubble. But where Indiana stands right now, 18 wins in the conference, or sorry, 18 wins overall. Two Big Ten games left, Big Ten tournament play. What do you think Indiana has to do at this point to get into the NCAA tournament?
I think to feel safe, they need two more wins. They can be these last two regular season wins, Oregon home against Ohio State. They can be, one more in the regular season and one in the Big Ten tournament. But I think they need two more. They did get a little bubble help, excuse me, today on Saturday. There were some teams that lost, Arkansas, some others who are kind of right there. So they got a little bubble help. But you always want to make sure that, it's not static. It's not like college football. You win six, you're in. You win seven, you're in a better ball game. Other teams get to win too. So it's sort of like a race that's ongoing with a whole bunch of cars on the track. So you've got to make sure that you try to do as much as possible. But I think if they win two more, they're in. And I think if one of those two is Oregon, I think they're definitely in. That'd be another quad one win. I think that puts them in. But if they were to lose to Oregon, if they beat Ohio State, regular season finale, win one in the Big Ten tournament, I think they're in. The bubble's a little soft. But I think, I think two more gets them in. And I think if one of those is Oregon, I think they're definitely in.
Hoosiers are getting hot at exactly the right time in the season. Winner 78-62 over Washington. Will stay over out west against Oregon on Tuesday night. That tips off at 9 p.m. We'll have much more to come on Peegs.com. Jeff Rabjohns, Trevor Anshock, Jared Kelly. We'll see you folks over on the site.